Hey people, welcome to the Run Testers. I'm joined by Mike and Nick, and we're going to be reviewing these. These are the Jabra Elite 7 Active and the Jabra Elite 4 Active. We're going to be telling you which of these two sets of true wireless buds you should be buying to do your running. So let's rattle through some key design features and specs then. Well, the Jabra Elite 4 Active are going to cost you just shy of £120 and $120, whereas the Jabra Elite 7 Active are going to come in at £170 in the UK, or just shy of $180 in the US. On battery life then, well, the Elite 4 packs 7 hours runtime in the buds. There's a further 21 in the case, that's with ANC on, and that's versus the Elite 7, which come in with 8 hours in the buds and 22 hours in the case. And they both have in-ear detection and auto pause play. When it comes to rapid charge, you get 1 hour from 10 minutes for the Elite 4. You get a slightly quicker rapid charge with an hour from 5 minutes charging on the Elite 7. The Elite 7 also support wireless charging, but the 4 don't. In terms of sound, they're pretty similar here. They both pack 6mm drivers. They both have active noise cancellation and custom EQ, and customizable hear-through awareness modes in the Jabra Sound app. But only the 7 offer the customizable active noise cancellation levels with a slider, and only the 7 offer the personalized sound and fit tests to help you get a better overall experience. When it comes to calls, the Elite 7 carries 6 mics, whereas the 4s have just 4. On design, well, it's very similar in-ear design for both these two sets. Both come with 3 sets of silicone ear gels in the box, but no wingtips, and they're both about as compact and light as it gets, and both use physical button controls on the buds. But the major difference here is that the 7 have a liquid silicone rubber shake grip coating, and that's there to hope to improve the stay put fit, and the Elite 4 Active don't have that. The Elite 4 buds are half a gram lighter at 5 grams too. The case is also lighter at 37.5 grams compared to the Elite 7 Active case that's 44 grams. Durability wise, both sets of buds are IP57 rated, so that's water, dust and sweat proof. Neither case is rated. When it comes to connectivity, both pack Bluetooth 5.2 and the 4 can handle 6 simultaneous pairings. The 7 stretch that to 8 simultaneous pairings. And in both cases you can use the buds independently. So first up, we're going to talk about the battery life performance. One of the things that might be a distinguisher here. Mike, how did you find it in practice, in the tests?
I think, well, on paper the battery life is supposed to be slightly different, but what I found in general, the kind of drop-offs that I was seeing in battery performance is pretty similar. So I would mainly use it with ANC on, and I would see kind of an hour's worth of running would be about 10% drop off from both. Major kind of difference, or minor difference, I would say, you know, there's a bit of difference in terms of the fast charging kind of speeds. I mean, it's like 5 minutes for the 7s, 10 minutes for the 4, and then you've got wireless charging on the 7s. But ultimately, from a battery performance, for me, they're not that different, really.
Yeah, I mean, my experience was pretty much the same. I tend to run with ANC off, and I found I got about kind of 20% battery life burn from both sets for 2 hours run, so that kind of rings true to what you were doing roughly. I'm not a fan of wireless charging myself. When I say I'm not a fan, I'm not bothered by it. Like I'm not anti-wireless charging. Nick,
how about about like chips and brain?
I've got a wireless charging lamp, so I love it.
So, how about you, Nick?
Yeah, I don't mind the wireless charging. I also don't really mind the quick charge thing. I'm a guy who's got his life together. My headphones are always charged. I'm never opening them up, and really you should all be too. No, but my usage really for me is, do these headphones last a week of workouts and a bit of general use? Both of them did in exactly the same manner. I don't use ANC when I'm running. We'll talk about that later. A bit of wind comes through, but you do use hear-through, which I presume uses similar battery life. But yeah, they last a similar amount for me.
Next up then, sound performance. Nick, how did you find these two compared on the run?
They ended up being the same. I thought there would be a difference here because you do have the fit test, this kind of sound test on the Elite 7 Active, which you don't have on this, and actually it did make a difference. Once I've tweaked the EQ, which is exactly the same process on both, I found they both delivered the same sound, which I really like. I think it's a really nice sound profile for me. I like the fact you can change up the EQ. On the run, they were loud enough, powerful enough, good amount of bass, but it's not overbearing. So for me, bang on, both of them, the same and both quite good.
Mikey, how about you?
Yeah, similar for me. I think, you know, out of the box they're very unbalanced in terms of sound quality, but as soon as you use the EQ, I think you can get something. If you want something a little bit more detailed, you have that there. If you want a bit more power, which I kind of prefer, and something with a bit more bass, then you can get that as well. But I think in overall, it's just you're getting a balanced sound, which, you know, I found enjoyable overall. I think there, you know, there's enough in terms of overall loudness as well there. So yeah, pretty much identical.
So one other thing we should mention is on the 7s you get a fit test, and you also get a kind of a personalised sound test that helps you you kind of tweak the sound to your own ears. That doesn't come on the 4s. But I think overall, none of us really found that even doing that test made a huge amount of difference when it came to kind of running with these in practice.
No, I don't think it's certainly something I wouldn't be upgrading for at all. And you also get a noise cancellation slider on the 7, so you can adjust the noise cancellation very easily, although you can still adjust it on the 4s, just you have to go into the menus and do it. Yeah, it's little differences, but in general, what do you guys think of the ANC? That's something that I found that only really made a big impact for me on travelling. It kind of outside running noise, it'll cut a little bit, but really it's travelling is the only time I found it useful.
For me, sort of travelling, or whether if I want to sort of black out some noise when I'm trying to work in the office. Okay. Actually, for me, the minute that I put audio on, I don't know if it's supposed to get a good fit. The minute I'm actually listening to really banging European dance music,
there he goes.
Here he goes. I find it quite hard to discern any real sort of difference between ANC and off, honestly, is the way I see it. So again, I don't think there's a difference here that would make me choose one over the other, to be honest.
Oh no, I think they both have similar levels.
I always go to the ANC mode on all my headphones, so I'm getting a good sense of what works really well. So for me, with the Jabras, I don't think it's best in class in terms of what you can get out there in terms of ANC on sports headphones. I do think it does block out a little bit of wind, a little bit of the traffic when I've been out running, but ultimately you're going to still get a little bit there in the background. But if you're getting a good fit and you've got that kind of isolated fit, which I think you can get on the 4 and the 7s with the right buds, then I think they're pretty effective. They're not the best, but I think for me generally they've worked really well.
I actually say on the outside on the wind, I think ANC brings more wind in for me, so I turn it off for that reason. And hear through brings in a bit of wind. I really like the hear through slider on both, so you can reduce the amount of wind but still get. I do run on roads sometimes, it's nice to do, but I think when you're running, ANC brings in more wind than off, so I tend to do it off.
So obviously another big thing with running headphones is how they fit. Do they stay in your ears? What did you find, Nick? With any difference between these two?
There was a very minor difference. I think firstly, Jabras don't have wings. That doesn't work for everyone. They're one of the few headphones without wings that stay in my ears, in-ear headphones. So I really like them for that. And that's the same with both of these headphones. The shake grip coating makes them very slightly more secure, but I certainly wouldn't be upgrading for that alone. I found that the fit was good on the 4s as well.
I think for me, I actually found the 4s sat a bit kind of more secure and reliable in my ears. I think with the shake grip, I think when kind of we talked in our previous videos, I found that maybe they never fell out, but it felt like maybe they might fall out. And I think when you've got that kind of sense in your mind when you're running, that's always going to kind of be an issue playing in the back of your mind. Whereas with the 4s, as soon as I kind of got the right kind of tips, I felt, they were reliably kind of staying in place for me. So.
I'm literally sat in the middle, but I'm also in the middle when it comes to fit, because I had exactly the same experience in my ears. I sort of had a thing with mic on both sets where I put them in and one bud with the Jabras always feels slightly loose in the left ear, no matter what I do. I did the fit test on the 7 and it says I have the perfect fit for the audio and for everything, but one does sort of feel like it's sort of slightly hanging loose. It never falls out, but it makes me a little bit nervous about when it comes to just sort of using those controls. So again, for me, there's nothing really to draw in terms of distinction between the two. The fit performance was the same. If these are going to work for you, I think they'll work for you. But
well, I don't know. It's a hard one to judge because obviously wings make things more secure, but I do find wings less comfortable than a wingless design. So Jabras do work well for me, but between these, it's not going to be any different. You'll know if these work for you. Hopefully, they'll both work in a similar way.
Controls are pretty much the same, right?
Yeah. Yes, but I definitely found on the 4s they were a little bit stiffer in terms of the execution. So I found when I was running and kind of it would take a little bit more in terms of the pressing, whereas I think they're a bit better executed on the 7. So me personally, in terms of my experience,
I don't know what that could be, but I found them slightly stiffer as well. They're really good controls. They work well on the run, and I really like the fact you can actually turn these headphones off without putting them in the case, which a lot of truly wireless headphones don't let you do, and it drives me bananas.
So then connectivity, and we're talking about kind of how they perform on the run. There's a little bit of a difference here. With the 7s, you can have 8 simultaneous kind of pairings. With the 4s, you can have 6. I mean, great. How many? It depends how many devices you've got. I never sort of find that this is really a major issue. Did you find anything in terms of kind of connectivity with watches or phones in terms of dropouts and performance like that on the run?
No major issues. I've used it with a couple of Phoenix watches. I've both of them actually, and I've also just kind of used it with Android and iOS, and I haven't experienced any kind of dropouts for me.
I haven't had any problems. No, neither. Yeah, I would think Jabra will do really well on connectivity. I guess it must be the background in kind of more commercial headset stuff. But yeah, like they actually switch between devices better than my Apple and Beats headphones, even though I use almost exclusively Apple devices. So very happy with both. I don't have more than 6 devices I need paired at any one time, so I'd stick with the Force probably.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same, no problems. The only thing I had is when I initially sort of tested them, I found, make sure you update the app before you pair them, and then do the firmware update. Otherwise, you can get lost in that bit where it's connected to your phone but not connected to the app. So a couple of times I had that, but overall on the run, yeah, they were smooth, no drops. The other thing I will say, actually, just quickly on calls, I've used them both to do sort of calls on the run, and asked the people that were talking to me on the other end, they said there was no little difference, even though there are more mics in the 7s than in the 4s. And then final point, we're going to talk about the durability. So any major differences here? They're both IP57 rated.
Yeah.
But did they perform? Any of them broke? Any of them have any trouble?
I just smashed them up. Both were absolutely the same. I think the cases are the same as well. We should talk about a different size of case, I guess. But durability-wise, exactly the same.
Yeah, I've done one. I mean, to be honest, in terms of rain, I've only done one run in kind of the 7s, but I've done like hit workouts and stuff like that. Obviously, gets a little bit more sweaty, and no issues in kind of durability kind of point of view. So
both still going strong.
Yeah.
And then onto the case that you mentioned. I mean, obviously you've got these slightly different cases. I mean, I'm glad they've made one tall and one flat, because otherwise they're very hard to tell the difference between. But
yeah, this is like the older Elite 75T case basically. This is a little sleeker, and it's got that wireless charging that I only might use. No. It's a slightly nicer case, I'd say that, and it's got slightly more battery. Despite being
7's is a nice case.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not paying £50 for the case, but it is a nicer case.
I mean, it does feel a little bit ridiculous that they've gone for a different size, because I think, if you I run a running belt, and I mean, I know it's not a massive difference, but the fact that sits a bit flatter, I think is a little bit nicer. It doesn't seem like there's any major reason to have that apart from the wireless charging support, I guess. But I mean, if you prefer a smaller case, go for the 7s, I guess. But
a little bit more ergonomic against your hip, perhaps. I don't know than that. So then, all-important verdict. First question, Dick, you're going to hold up the set of headphones that you're going to buy and tell me why. Which, out of the 4 and the 7s, which one are you going for?
I'm going 4s. And to be honest, I'm really, there's only one negative in this whole thing. I'm really positive about this. Jabra has released a set of headphones that's basically as good as headphones for a lot less. They're actually undercut not only themselves, but actually I think most of the really good sports sets that we rate as kind of the best up there by 30 to 50 to 70 quid, it's a big saving. But my real gripe is that this only came out 2 months ago, and if I bought these and there was no mention of these, I'd be really annoyed, because sure, your little ANC slider is a bit different and your case is a bit smaller, but you're probably quite peeved, I'd say. But sorry, I'm buying the 4s.
I think I'm the same. I'm on the 4s as well. You have to work quite hard, and we have been digging into the detail before we did this review to discern what the actual differences are between these headphones. There are some very, very minor things in terms of the features and how they work. Things like you might not be able to toggle the auto pause on and off, although jury's out about whether that works.
That's a crazy. We should talk about this. Yeah. I turned auto pause off on the 4s when I first had them, and when I take them out my ears, they don't auto pause. That feature is now gone, so I can never turn it back on. Not that I want to, but you can't turn it off.
In the app, there's no toggle for me. I can't see the toggle to turn it on for the 4s, but there is for the 7s. But
it might come another update, I guess.
It may. I think, the 4s represent just really, really good value. I think there's nothing in the 7s that makes me want to spend an extra 50 quid in terms of the audio performance, in terms of the fit. That tiny little bit of battery life doesn't make any sort of difference in practical terms, so I'm going 4s as well. Mike, what about you?
I'm going 7s because of the wireless charging. No, I mean the 4s for me. I mean it's a bizarre decision, I think, from Jabra. They kind of snuck these headphones out at the end of the year, and for me, like Nick said, if you had just bought the 7s, you'd be a little bit disappointed. So I think for me, from a kind of the key things for me, from a fit, from a sound performance, from a kind of battery life, things like ANC, which I kind of care about, they're all very similar in terms of what you're getting, and you're getting it for less on the 4s. So for me, it'd be the 4s as well.
So there you have it. That's a resounding victory for the Jabra Elite 4 Active. We hope you've enjoyed the review. If you have any questions or comments, don't forget to hit us up below. Don't forget to ring the bell, like and subscribe, do all of that stuff. We're going to have a slew of headphone reviews coming up on the channel, so you'll get to hear about those when they come out if you hit that bell, ring that bell. And we hope you've enjoyed, and we'll see you again soon on the Run Testers.